Welcome to this edition of the AACFB's Commercial Break Front and Center Spotlight. Ordinarily, Leslie Brown would be interviewing someone for this segment, but today Leslie will be our interviewee. My name is Monica Harper, and I'm the Executive Director of the American Association of Commercial Finance Brokers, and I want to introduce you to Leslie Brown with MAC Global Corporation. Leslie is a broker member of the AACFB and is currently serving on the Board of Directors as Treasurer. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. Excellent. You made me sound better than I think I even am, but I love it. Let's go.
Great. So normally with these, we start off with a little background. So can you just introduce yourself and give the listeners a brief overview of your background and expertise?
Yeah, you bet. So I started out in collections, collecting third-party medical collections. And this is a story that I usually tell people a lot, just because I feel like collections is always going to be the heart and soul of what I love to do. And that's not the case for most people. You say that and they're like, collections, that's got to be the worst job ever. But it's really where I learned to connect with people in one of the most important parts of any type of financing or anywhere where an exchange of money takes place. And that is when it's performing or even when it's not performing. That's when you really build those relationships. So started out in third-party medical collections, excelled at that, moved to Austin, was fortunate enough to meet the team over at Team Funding and got into the collections department. Built that department. They didn't have one then. They'd grown and needed a collections department, and came in and started managing their portfolio, which at the time was a C credit portfolio, providing financing for small businesses that needed a second chance. From there, I continued to evolve my career by building portfolios for other companies, and then was brave and lucky enough to start my own with the support of the CLFP and the AACFB, and now have my own book of customers that call me, look for me, need help with financing, that I'm able to send to some good lenders, great lenders that I have long-term relationships with. So, and here I am. So I own a couple of different businesses. All of them revolve around finance, and I've served on the board of directors for the CLFP, and I am now serving on the board of directors for the AACFB, and I love that group, and I love the AACFB. I'm having a blast.
And we love you. Just on a personal note, so you are, I don't know, are you in Colorado? I know you have a couple places that you call home, Colorado and Texas. So, and then you want to tell us a little about your family and background there?
My family's crazy. I think everybody says that. Yes, I have 3 children, 24-year-old son, 21-year-old daughter, and an 11-year-old daughter, and they're all completely different. And they challenge me every day. And I think that everybody says this, but the true joy of my life is the dedication to being the best mom that I can be. So that's first and foremost, even above finance, obviously. You know, you're a wonderful mother, Monica, and I love hearing about your stories. So you know what that's like. And I do have multiple properties in both Texas and in Colorado. Some of those properties serve as rental properties and investment properties. Some of them I'm lucky enough to stay in when I want to go visit and have a good time. And my daughter currently attends school in Colorado because she's into robotics and into programming, and they didn't have that kind of education in a rural community in Texas. But she keeps in touch with all of her Texas friends. So we go back and forth, mostly between Texas and Colorado, because that's where I have the bulk of my investments placed. Yeah.
So as you've been building your businesses, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced, and how did you overcome those?
I'll start with probably the most current challenge that I face is I want to say it's ego, honestly. And what I mean by that is, and not a lot of people I think would want to admit that, but being successful enough that your business or your portfolio or whatever it is that you do becomes bigger than you. and that's been my most recent biggest challenge, because I've reached the point where I can't possibly manage everything on my own. And certainly not while I'm giving some of my time away and giving back to the community, like, you know, like the AACFB. We take time. The board members have to take a lot of time to make sure that that organization is doing what it's supposed to, which is serving other brokers. So my biggest challenge is letting go right now, so that things can continue to grow and that others can learn. And before that, I think it was just confidence and being able to go through processes that, one, took longer than a day. Because when we first start out as teenagers or as young adults, we think we can do anything in 24 hours. Every goal is a short-term goal. And we're like, yeah, goal, reward, goal, reward. Well, now everything I do is at least a year-long process, or 10-year-long process. And here I am running, doing all these things. And I'm not going to see any results from that for at least 365 days. That's a long time. So before then it was catching up to that whole thing. And then before then it's confidence. But every single challenge that we face is really that stepping stone for that next challenge. And I think that that's why they say there's no shortcuts. It's because if you don't learn to have confidence, you're never going to make it through the 365-day challenge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the 5-year challenge of, you know, because you can't be confident enough to know that you're going to reach your goal eventually if you never learned confidence to begin with, which is, could I even get a customer? Does anyone even want to work with me? Am I even knowledgeable enough? Like all these questions you go through. So,
now, what advice you give to somebody who's just starting out in commercial finance? It's probably a different landscape than when you started, even. But yeah, I mean, probably the same.
Yeah, it's always a different landscape. I think it's so dynamic. That's what attracts those of us to it, is that it's dynamic and it forces us to evolve constantly. But I don't think that the things that you need to do are different. And that would be for finance or anyone. But don't chase two rabbits. If you decide you want to do it, go after the one, because you're not going to catch any. If you think, oh, I'm just going to do this while I'm also trying this, don't do that. Just have enough confidence to go after your one rabbit and know you're going to catch it and follow that path. And then everything else will align for you. The other thing is join an association. This is going to sound like a shameful plug, Monica. Shameful plug. It's really not. Like, the honest truth is, surround yourself with other people who think like you and are already successful. And anyone will tell you that your 5 closest friends is who you're going to end up like. So you've got an association, make your 5 closest friends people who have succeeded in the industry you want to succeed in. Seems pretty simple, right? So only 2 things: chase one rabbit, join an association. Not real hard.
Yeah. And I think, as with any group or association that you get involved in, what you put into it and, you know, what you get out of it are directly correlated. Because I think, you know, people like you who get involved, they donate their time and expertise, and then they meet other people that are doing the same thing. And I know we've had people that they've made lifelong friends, they've made business connections that have forwarded their companies and their futures. And, you know, but you have to put yourself out there to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, if you stay in the closet, no matter how many associations you've joined, no one's going to know that you're there. Right. And then how do you absorb any information or anything, you know, with yourself so cut off? So yeah, agreed. Join, but also, let me rephrase, join, but also participate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Get involved. So what do you see evolving in the next few years in the commercial finance?
Oh,
any trends that you're seeing? Or
yeah, absolutely. And don't take me for, you know, this is just my own opinion. We'll say this is Leslie's opinion. Unofficial.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. Leslie's opinion, unofficial, because a lot of times I rely on my intuition, and then I'll go back and I'll do reports and stuff. And it's really funny, because some of these people that I've hired, I've told them about the AACFB, and they're watching this whole thing go on, and they're learning so much about it, and I can hear them over there chatting like, oh, this and that and whatever. So I think that anyone who has a business and they have people that are new hires, they might have them watch some of the AACFB stuff so that they can become a little bit more familiar with people in the industry. But anyway, trends in finance, I would say, one, the equipment is still scarce, but that's not going to last for long. And two, everybody who seems to have been buying at bulk, saying we have these big projects going on, they're slowing down. So with the Fed rate so high, which I don't think is going to come down the next few years. I think what brokers and lenders, but speaking specific to brokers, need to understand is the rates are going to continue to be high. The sales are going to slow down. And if they haven't done anything to diversify their portfolio, whether it's expand into other equipment niches, expand into other product offerings, offer more helpful information to customers, and look into more marketing tactics, then I would say the trend is it's going to be more difficult to do as much business as you have been doing. So dig your heels in and put in the extra effort for the short, for the next year or two, because that's what it's going to take, because we're in these things, right? We're going to be in a situation where it's going to take more effort to do as much business. But then the good news is we're going to come out of that, and then you're going to be rocking around. It's going to be easier again, but we're definitely in that. It's a hard work time. Don't be lazy right now. Even if the last few years have been easy, don't let yourself get into that trend, because it's not going to work in the next few.
Mm-hmm. So what's something that most people don't know about you? What would be a fun fact?
I was hoping you were going to ask this, Monica. Well, they may not know that I'm in my 40s. They may think I'm in my 20s, if I'm lucky. You're laughing.
Kids are.
Yeah, right?
I
have a 24-year-old. Yeah, exactly. I dated myself there, probably with the Floby too, but we won't go there. I've never ridden a motorcycle before, and a month and a half ago, I walked into a place here in Colorado called Base Camp Beer Works. I was meeting with a group of women who get together, network here in the city, and I thought, how cool would it be if I could walk into Base Camp Beer Works with a motorcycle helmet, a bomber jacket, some rider boots, and have a tea, because I'm riding, so I can't drink. They were all drinking. I want the feeling of that. I want to bring my book here on my bike, which I've never ridden before, never, ever. And I want to have a helmet and look that cool. And then like 2 weeks later, I went down to the local dealership and I bought a Ducati Night Shift motorcycle. It's a scrambler. And proceeded to have them deliver it, because I didn't know how to drive it. And then rode it around the block, dropped it 3 times. I don't have any, I don't have any, I don't have any nails on, and anyone who knows me knows I usually have, some type of presentable fingers. And that's because I broke them all off riding and dropping my bike 3 times.
Oh,
no. Decided I needed to go to a class. Did go to a class. 4 guys attended the class. 3 girls failed. 2 guys failed. It was that difficult.
Wow.
And I was the one who passed. Woo, go Leslie. And I got my motorcycle endorsement, and now I'm riding a month and a half later. Now I'm riding my Ducati around whenever I'm not trying to save the world. So
That's awesome.
So that's something most people don't know. 1, because it's so new, and 2, just because I think most people don't jump into super new things all the time. It's uncomfortable. It was for me. There was times when I thought, should I have done this? Mm-hmm. And now I can tell you it's one of my most favorite things to do.
So is there anything else you want to share?
I was thinking about a couple things. But I don't know if it's really how some things seem to fit in certain places and some things don't. I would say that this is a really great time where people seem to be sharing information and intuitively know what other people need. I see a lot of people stepping in to help out on the AACFB forums. And then even just in my own community, I see these very inspirational acts occurring. And so I think the one thing I would share is don't stay cooped up. Go out to the AACFB conferences and events when you can, or just to your neighbor finance company or broker company whom you might have considered in the past to be a competitor, but really have not realized that every single time that you can make a connection, the moment opens up for the sharing of knowledge and information. Like going to Base Camp Beer Works, it made me think about something that I wanted to do that I had no idea for 44 years was going to bring me some of the biggest joy of my life. And just walking into that place, completely naive to what was about to happen, but it did. But that wouldn't have happened sitting on my couch. And it wouldn't have happened sitting behind a computer working on deals all day long either. And that
get out
get out of your comfort zone. Even if your comfort zone is one where you just make this excuse like, well, I'm making money, or I'm doing deals, or I'm doing what I'm supposed to because I'm working. No, actually, that isn't what you're supposed to be doing 24/7. So do that, and then you'll get a lot of people's good advice from all over the place.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad we got to interview you today. And
yeah, it was my turn, right? Woo! The win. Yeah, and I think we have Katie Baker coming up next.
Yep. Well,
yeah, and you were a phenomenal interviewer, Monica.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're the best I've ever seen. Actually, you're prepared, and you made it easy for me. You made me feel comfortable, so I love it. But you always do that for me anyway. But I appreciate it.
It's so easy to talk to you. So,
well, thank you. I love that.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. See you later.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.